Hi everyone, Crow here. Just wanted to kind of start this episode off a little bit before they actually officially begin the episode. Keep in mind that they had already been talking and trying to start this episode now for over 20 minutes. And this is the final result of what we were left with. Enjoy!
We have 15 seconds. Get all the sillies out right now. Just
We have 5 seconds.
Penis!
Yeah.
Welcome to Straight from the Muzzle, folks, where we're anything but straight. My name is Space.
And I'm Ruby.
And I'm Paradox.
And we welcome you to our episode, which is about what today?
We are going to be examining recent executive orders by the traitorous Cheeto, like specifically ones that target and impact the LGBTQ and more specifically trans communities and resources that we have access to.
Oh, I would like to add this very serious topic. We were not trying to laugh. We were just dicking around.
We were trying to, okay, like, you guys don't hear it. I don't even know if it was on the last blooper episode, but I always say, okay, we're going to start on this time frame, and we never start on the first time frame. Sometimes we don't even start on the second or the third. But like the second time around, right before we were going to start, Ruby goes, penis!
I was told to get our sillies out.
I know. It's okay. And I followed up with a very sweet dick.
I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing a third time. We're just going to go with it.
You also have the three giggliest bitches we got on the team together.
Yeah.
We even on serious topics, we don't take things super seriously because we have to kind of enjoy what we do, and we do enjoy this. But this is a serious topic, and you'll hear us get passionate as we go. But yeah, we're just giggly. We've been going at this for a while and just giggly as fuck. So
to quote very specifically Jocelyn from A Knight's Tale, it's like, we see, I only laugh just to keep from weeping.
Love A Knight's Tale. I haven't watched that in a long time.
And I will quote one of the doctors: "What's the point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes?"
There you go.
And I have no quotes.
Oh, I was just going to say, to quote my grandma.
Don't.
You're only as old as you act.
No, I was just going to say that growing old is mandatory, but growing up is optional.
Yes.
Any more quotes?
Nope.
Not yet. I know I'm going to use a few in this.
While this is a serious topic, it's straight from the muzzle. We'll still have some fun with it, because we don't want to bore you to death, but it's also really informational.
Or
this is also, we don't want to stress you out. And this is a pretty stressful political climate that we're in right now, especially if you live in the US. But with that being said, I lost my train of thought. Give me a
Yikes.
I had it right there, and I don't know what happened to it.
Oh no.
I'm gonna get there. Hold on, let me see what it was. Was it?
You haven't even taken anything today, right?
No, I've just been drinking tons of water. That's all except for my pills, my normal pills.
Oh.
So this is the first episode for Pride Month. We always try to do something special every year for Pride. And so this year, we're going to be focusing on these executive orders. And then we're also going to be focusing on a special topic that's for Paradox, which is going to be female to male. Because we've done male to female transitioning, but we've never done it the other way around. So
yeah.
We'll get to hear from Paradox's point of view and their story. So that'll be a second episode later on in this month, which... I know it's May, but we're talking like June because it's when this is going to come out.
Shh, don't break the continuity.
I can't help it. So Pride in general, Pride Month is huge because it's a month that we get to celebrate who we are and we can be who we are. We can love everyone. Truly, I kind of live Pride every day. I don't necessarily need a month designated, but it is there. This year, though, I was telling Ruby this before, but it almost feels like every year Pride seems just as important as the last one. And I'm going to say it again that I feel like this year Pride is probably going to be one of the most important ones because of all the crap that is happening politic-wise in the United States. And it's very stressful. I think to this point, I've just stopped listening to all the different orders that have come out. And I've just decided to tune our president out altogether because I just can't handle it anymore. And we're only in May. Okay. So we're only 5 months into his 4-year presidency. who knows what's going to happen in the next, God knows, couple of years.
Yep.
Maybe he'll die.
Okay, but here's the thing. Even if
He has been in office for 126 days.
Even if
True.
he were to somehow not be in office, the succession line is not great. You'd have to take out the whole line in order to make some sort of change in the office.
I
But
mean,
I'm not going
didn't
to
he
say
just get,
anything
like,
specific because I don't want to get flagged on the air.
But here's the thing.
Didn't he just get a big old airplane?
But here's the thing. Everyone below him doesn't have the cult religious, like,
Following.
deity worshipping quality that he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I want to remember our president from the days when he did his show, and I can't remember what that show was called.
The Accountant?
No,
The
that's not what
Apprentice.
The Apprentice.
Why did I say The Accountant?
That's the
Yeah,
president
I don't know
wanted
either.
to know.
I don't know either. He sucks with money.
He totally does. And it's so ironic. It's so ironic that he's doing all of these like tariffs and taxes. And I'm just like, you're such an idiot.
I still think
That's
it's
his
funny
art
that,
of the deal.
Yeah. The most like searched like thing, I think like a week or so after his presidency was like, what is a tariff? And I'm like, you guys learned
Come
this
on.
shit in fucking middle school. Like, and probably again in high school. Like, I definitely studied it at least 3 times in American history, economics, and like, government class. Like, dude, I know what a tariff is. You guys
Well,
are
for some of us
stupid.
who may not know, not me, what is a tariff, Paradox?
No, I don't want to fuck up any actual like definition, so I'm gonna get the fucking give me the thing. A proper definition, because
Pull up
I have a
encyclopedia.
Yeah. But at the
Whatever
same
they call
time,
it.
you literally have people nowadays that think that teaching pronouns is a new thing.
No, and it's not, because you learn that literally like in elementary school.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, Jimmy that's a he, him, and Sally is a she, her. And then like, to express they, it's like, oh, if you don't know like whose keys these are, it's like, oh, well, whose keys are they? Like, whose keys do
Where are
I don't-
they?
Yeah, where are they? Like, what? That's a singular. You could use it as plural and singular. But anyway, I
Yeah.
digress. A tariff, as a proper definition, a tariff is a tax imposed by a country on goods and services imported from another country. It's essentially a tax on imports designed to influence trade, raise government revenue, or protect domestic industries. The tariffs are often structured as a percentage of the import's value. Now, to say this in basic terms,
Layman's terms.
yes, in layman's terms, basic terms, whatever, in English. Say, for example, so avocados. Avocados is a great example. So say I really like avocado toast, which I do. Let's say, for example, in Biden's presidency, I could buy a single avocado for like $1. Okay, maybe. Sometimes it would go on sale for like 50 cents, whatever. Say,
Yeah.
Well, just for simplicity's sake, it's $1 per avocado. Okay, so $1 per avocado. Now, since Trump has placed a tariff on Mexico where you get avocados, the avocados that, now come to the store and they now cost like $2.30. That's over 100%. So now I pay like $2.30 instead of $1 per avocado. Who's actually paying that? You are. You're paying the tariff. So
Yeah.
that is the most basic and simplistic way that I could put that. And I'm going to tell you what, working in retail and watching people flip out like, why do things cost so damn much? Oh. Sometimes I'll say just casually, because I like to stir the pot once in a while, I was like, oh, it's tariffs. And they're like, oh, what do you mean? And I'm like, do you know what a tariff is? And they're like, no. And I will explain it to them like that. And then all of a sudden it's like a light bulb ignites and they're like, oh shit. I'm like, yeah.
And they're the ones that voted for it.
Yeah, like why?
It makes
I'm like,
no
oh,
sense.
you're like, oh, well, no, China and other countries pay that. No, bitch. Do you not see eggs being like $5 a dozen? Like,
Okay, that's
because
for
of
a whole nother reason.
well, yes, that's like mainly due to like, what is it, the bird flu?
Yes.
Yes, but still, eggs and like gas and like whatnot, like it's relatively the same.
Wait for fucking vanilla to go up even higher.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because it only gets produced in one location in the world.
Yep.
Well, real vanilla, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
real
there's
vanilla.
no, but there's so Mexico. There's Mexican vanilla, and then there's Madagascar, which they
The
also
majority,
produce vanilla.
the
But
majority is
of it.
Madagascar.
Yeah, you can get Mexican vanilla, but the Mexican vanilla is really expensive too. So to get like high quality, you're paying maybe for a bottle of like 3-4 twigs.
Yeah.
Probably like $15-$20 a bottle. That's a lot for vanilla when you can get it for like $1 imitation-wise.
Yeah, but there are things in my life that I'm an expensive whore for, and good baking supplies and cookies.
We have Mexican vanilla in our cabinet. I mean, we like, there,
Wow.
you just got to pay for something. Think, what? What do you mean, wow? I'm not
just saying
rich.
it's fancy. I'm just,
Oh.
wow. And I was like, wow. Like, that's just my silly little, my wow. I'm sorry. I'm not
Whoa.
trying to offend you.
So that's what a tariff is, but that's not related to our topic. Let me bring us back to our topic.
As Sparrow would say, let's rein it back in.
Rein it back in. So today we're talking about executive orders, but you may not know what an executive order is. I'm going to really dumb it down and explain it from the Human Rights Campaign's website. So you may know them as executive orders, or you might know them as EOs, not Captain EO, Michael Jackson.
How dare you?
But EOs, okay? So at its core, an executive order is a directive issued by the President of the United States as part of their responsibility to enforce the law, instructing federal agencies to take specific actions or enact particular policies. These orders only apply to federal government executive branch and do not have to pass through both houses of Congress like legislation. They do have to respect the limits of the Constitution and must comply with laws passed by Congress. So just because the president submits an executive order, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to pass. Because like it says, it has to respect the limits of the Constitution and it has to comply with laws passed by Congress. But that's a whole other can of worms there. I don't want to go over that.
I did have to explain an executive order to one of my coworkers who was like trying to rant a little bit about like, oh, well, gender this and, sexuality that, executive order, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's not how that works, actually. I'm like, just because, wannabe dictator King Trump wants to, sign an executive order saying there's only two genders, that does not mean anything.
You should, next time, you should do a physical executive order example by saying, my manager has sent an executive order to slap you. Therefore, I'm slapping you.
So yeah.
You just slap them.
They're essentially glorified internal memos.
Yeah, it's pretty much what they are. And a lot of them don't even make sense, or they don't really have much constitution to them at all. And it's trying to navigate this political landscape that makes absolute no sense, but it's also really frustrating. It's like trying to run a race, but then all of a sudden there's a bunch of hurdles and like unnecessary objects in the race that don't make any sense and don't need to be there, but they're there and you still have to make it to the finish line somehow. So it sucks. But today we're going to go over a few of the more, I don't want to say iconic, but probably the most noteworthy executive orders that have gone out. A lot of them
impact against the community.
A lot of them are impacted towards the transgender community. And then there are a few that are towards the LGBTQ plus community as a whole. So why don't we go over the first one, which is one of the bigger ones. We do have an order that references the first one. We'll talk about that one later. Ruby, do you want to go over this one?
Okay, one of my favorites because of just how stupid it truly is. We're talking Executive Order 14168, and it's not even a fun number. So 1416, yeah, I know, but it could be come on, it could be 14169.
I was just thinking that.
Then at least they completely missed the sex number. You could have waited one more.
666 would be a good one too.
Oh yeah. But Executive Order 14168 defines sex strictly as male or female, eliminating federal recognition of transgender identities. This also, I think, is the one that mentions your sex is defined at conception,
which is ridiculous.
Explain
what that means, because you made a really good point about what happens at conception.
Yes.
Well, when a mommy and daddy furry love each other very much, but no. Yes. But technically, at conception, we are one of two things. We are female immediately because the sex hormones have not kicked in, and we are just an asshole. That's it. That's the two things we are.
We are just an asshole.
The asshole forms first. So
our asshole forms first?
Yes.
Oh my god.
That can't be real. I gotta look this up.
Oh, it totally is. This is where I get to put on the biologist hat. So,
yes.
But yeah, it's defining sex as only male or female, which what they're saying is you're either XX or XY. Nothing else exists. I'll get into it in a minute, Space.
It does form first. Oh! So weird!
Yes.
Anyways, Sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
we'll move on. But yes, at conception, the sex hormones have not kicked in yet. So we, at that second, are all women. So I haven't transitioned. I just went back to the original state. But to say that there are only strictly males or females it's a gross simplification. You learn in high school that you're XX or XY.
Yeah.
Now, I love for a fact that we have someone that breaks that literally here.
Me?
Yes, because you have Klinefelter,
Yes.
which
I
is XXY.
Yeah, but I have both. Hey.
Yes. Then you can have X. There are, I think, 20 combinations that are viable.
Usually
Meaning
like 6 digits.
it could go up to pentasomes, which are 5. So XXXXX and XXXXY.
And to clarify, for the most part, anything past 3 or 2 X's kind of falls into like the autism spectrum, Downs, some of it, not all of it, just some of
Not necessarily with the sex chromosomes, not necessarily, because you're dealing with something that only really defines one thing.
it. Oh, okay.
It does fuck with some stuff, like especially if you have like Turner syndrome, which is only one X. It does mess with some things too. But even XX and XY isn't 100% defined, because you can be XX and have a disorder called polycystic ovarian syndrome, which causes your body to produce an excess of testosterone.
That's what my wife has.
I was just
So
going to
does
say,
mine.
I'm pretty sure one of you knows someone with that.
Both of us do. I even had, when I substituted, a student that had it, and she had the same medicine regimen that I did pre-orchiectomy. So she took testosterone blocker and estrogen of the same amount. It was kind of crazy. But also recently, if I'm not mistaken, a woman that was, when they checked her, they did like a chromosome, a DNA breakdown, a DNA test on her, and she who just gave birth was XY, because the Y chromosome did not trigger. So her body developed completely female. And was able to give birth.
Something really trippy. It's related, but it's kind of not related. I was listening to an article online, and there's only about like maybe 1 or 3 people in the world that have this, where they actually have 2 sets of chromosomes. So there's XY, and then there's another set of them that they have also as XX.
Chimeras.
Yeah. And it's a real thing. Like it's a real, but it's cool, but it's also weird at the same time.
That is called, if I'm not mistaken, I got to go back to my high school biology, because I actually took
It's a very rare
biology.
thing to happen. It's like super rare.
Chimerism, it's where in utero you have twins that split apart, or you have 2 sets of gametes or 2 fetuses. One dies and absorbs into the other.
Yeah,
so
that's
the
what
DNA
it
is mixed up. It's chimerism.
And you wouldn't know to look for it unless you were like,
yeah,
with
it's almost impossible to
diagnose.
But yeah, it's one of those things that, I have the most insane random collection of knowledge in my head, and that happens to be one of them. But yeah, it's crazy that people are basing everything on beginner, middle, and high school biology, not realizing that everything is watered down. This isn't tangenting, it's just basically an example of it. But it's like when I ask you what are the states of matter, you're going to say liquid, solid, gas. That's completely false. There's like 6 states, I believe, including plasma and all these other things. So you can't go off of basic high school biology, which is advanced for most of the people who are spewing this bullshit.
And a lot of this, if you really think about what this is targeting, you would be like, oh, okay, well, there's not very much logic towards this. But they're not targeting the smart people in the United States. They're targeting the more uneducated people. And that's where a lot of this inflammation of unnecessary crap is coming from.
Yes.
Which is really hard.
And well, the thing is, and this is also something I should have said when we were talking about the definition, is the current administration has such a cult level following and devotion by those who voted the jackass in. To them, the executive orders are law. If I say that sex is defined male or female, there's no variations, it means that space immediately does not exist, because there's no way that works.
And then the people who voted for this person automatically think that's what the case is and just assume that and kind of just spread their stupidity amongst everyone else. And so it's like this freaking wildfire that you can't put out. And it's just so annoying. You thought fandom drama was bad? Oh, no. Fandom drama is like, it's like a 0.001% of what actually happens in the United States.
I will take the pizza incident like over and over again over this shit.
The pizza incident.
We all know the pizza incident.
I would rather have a lifetime pass to Rainforest than deal with this administration ever again.
Look, let's all be
Yeah.
honest. Who hasn't want to do that to a pizza? It's all crossed our mind.
Listen,
We've all had the thoughts.
If I had the anatomy, I would. If I had like the proper anatomy to do that to a pizza, probably. Just for shits and giggles.
All you gotta do is put a little, just sprinkle some icing on it, and you're good to go.
Yeah, you guys only had to listen to that once. I had to listen to it about 5 times. This is not the first time that I've had to listen to things that they say that are very off the wall multiple times. So just know I am very desensitized to it already.
Now, I would not leave it out in the middle of the. I wouldn't leave it out in the middle of the convention, but you know.
Yeah, but no, I would
like a little Caesar's pizza because like I'm cheap. Okay,
it's the shittiest pizza. You gotta do like a Totino's.
Okay, no. Little Caesars, yes, is cheap as fuck, but for the price, it's really good pizza.
I know.
You are right. I'm sorry. So we should just you know I'll go to Dollar Tree and I'll just get a little personal pan. Just there you go.
No. Go to Papa John's. That way you can say you came on Papa.
I have a Papa John's out on the table. It's 3 days old, but it's still good.
Yeah.
Why do you just have it on the table?
Because we eat it like regular people.
Yeah. Well, no. Hold up. Do you put it in the fridge?
No.
Okay, after 24 hours, you put it in the fridge.
Why do you leave it out?
We don't. That would explain our such irregular movements. But anyways,
moving on.
Oh my god!
Back to the executive order.
We're gonna rein it back in.
Do not make me be the adult, please. I'm too old for that.
Like by 1 week.
Literally 1 week.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay, so Executive 14168. Let's keep going on that one.
Yeah, but with their followers, it means that you just can't. I guess the best quote I can do is only Sith deal in absolute. So they believe that this is absolute. The dark side has claimed there's only these, so thus nothing else can be true.
Only if deals in absolute.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, if the US government was more like Star Wars, I think I'd probably be more interested.
Yeah.
In a way it kinda is, just minus the the lightsaber battles and
minus the intelligence. Sorry.
But you're correct. Minus the intelligence and minus the lightsaber battles and laser guns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also just minus
Everything.
Padme.
There are a few kyber crystals short of a lightsaber.
Yes.
Trump doesn't even have a lightsaber. He just has like a stick,
No.
and he wants it around in his room. And goes.
Did you see his AI thing that he posted on True Social? He has like the red lightsaber, and he's like, "May the Force." It was on May 4th. He was like, "May the Force be with you." And I'm like, "You do know that's a red lightsaber. You do know that's the dark side, right? That's not the good guys. You guys are fucking stupid."
Truth Social can suck my dick for all I care. I'm just saying.
Don't give them that pleasure.
Okay,
no, no. Let them suck on my dick because that way at least they choke on a small object.
Not
and then they can disappear into your cave of chaos.
I cannot wait to get the cave.
Just Kirby them.
And then just like the burp is just one really loud queef.
See what I mean?
Oh God!
Not allowed.
Okay, let's rate it. Now, even I will say, let's rate it and go to the next one.
Rate it back in.
So, Paradox, you want to do the next one?
Okay. All right. Rating it back in. All right, so the next one is Executive Order 14183, which was issued on January 27th in 2025. It instructs the Department of Defense to develop a plan to prohibit enlistment or service in the U.S. Armed Forces by transgender and other gendered expansive people.
So one thing I want to kind of point out, so some of these orders have been issued early on in this year, but what I found out while we were on before we actually started recording is that not all these orders have been passed or put into effect quite yet, except for this one, which was put into effect about a week or two ago. So that would have been like early May of this year.
Yeah.
So this one is now active. So not all executive orders are 100% active, but some of them are. So that's something you kind of have to like look into on yourself. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So one thing about this executive order that I'm going to point out is, in my personal opinion, as long as you are fit to fight for your country and you want to fight for your country, I don't care how you identify. Like, that shouldn't matter, as long as you're not obviously a piece of shit person, like I don't know, like a sexual assaultant or somebody like that, or assailant, whatever. Like, again, like, as long as you are mentally and physically fit and want to be in the military or, one of our armed forces, why does it matter? Why does it matter, if you are trans? Why does that matter? It does not. That's all I have to really say.
It just makes absolutely no sense why you would want to stop someone from coming into the military. Ruby, you have some statistics right on this, like
a lot. This is one of those that I don't know if I mentioned it before. I think y'all both know, but if I bring up the genocide playbook or the Nazi playbook or any of those playbooks, I am an award-winning poet, and I have an award for poetry from the Holocaust Memorial Project, and I've studied it pretty extensively. So there's a lot of red flags that these jackasses are using that make what they're doing make a lot of sense, but it's also really stupid. But right now in the military, there's around 2 million people in uniform, give or take. There's around 4,240 trans people in the military.
Which is
in the U.S. alone, or is that worldwide?
That's the United States.
Oh,
0.2%.
But you said when the propaganda came out, it was much higher than that.
They claimed over 15,000. Triple the number. Because 15,000 sounds like a prettier number and a more intimidating number.
And that's really the tactic here, is to misinform to the point of fear, and then people believe it, and it's almost impossible to like rein back, like we've been saying all night, rein that back in and say, whoa, hey, wait a second. This is the actual percentage.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of relevant to like when a couple of years ago Trump would say that there are immigrants that are coming in caravans and waves invading the country. That's not true.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets.
There are a lot of people at the border, sure, but they're not coming in freaking caravans, or they're not coming in giant waves, as he would say. So a lot of the information that he uses is so over the top, just like he is. And somehow it's allowed to be influenced into these orders, which I just, again, don't understand where the smart people are.
I think one of my favorite things that I've seen is that this one guy, I can't remember his name. I don't remember specifics. I just saw it on a TikTok video. But this one congressman was trying to argue with a congresswoman and was like, "Hey, well, this is the, actually has to do with the executive order we just talked about, the gender and sex and whatnot." So the guy was like, "Well, actually, females are, born female, male, males are born male, and like that's how it is, like whatever, like right out the womb, and it's only XY, or XX, whatever." And the congresswoman behind him is like, "Excuse me," like taps his shoulder. It's like, "Excuse me, sir, that's actually not true." I'm like, that's hilarious.
I'm actually a little shocked that the number they used, I guess they couldn't go this outrageous, but I'm shocked they didn't use like 100,000 service members, because that's actually the seating capacity of a football stadium. Like, I'm shocked they didn't pick numbers that we could visualize, but...
you're right. That is weird.
How would you visualize 15,000? Like what?
15,000 is the average seating capacity for a basketball stadium. Yes, I'm looking that up right now.
It's actually, that's kind of big.
Yeah, but you could visualize that where...
But it's not as
we're
big.
barely the service capacity for an average McDonald's.
Interesting.
Which I'm just picking that. That's not...
But again, like you said, they could have used a bigger number, but they didn't, thank God. But not like, thank God, but like, thank Jeebus. That's
I think they picked 15,000 because it's hard to imagine. When you hear over 10,000 of something, you immediately just think that's a fuck ton.
Well, it's the same concept as what marketing people do in retail business. So there's a reason why they have something like the dollar store or the 99-cent store. If you go into a store and you see a product for 99 cents, you think that's cheap. But if you put the same product next to it and you label it for $1, your mind says, well, the one for 99 cents is better deal. I'm going to go for that. Even though they're the exact same product and they're only off by 1 cent. Marketing.
Yes.
It's genius, but it sucks.
Yeah, like, as I said, the number is 4,000 something. I'm going to just put this out there because this will work. It's not for everybody, but this is between me and my wife. $4,240, which is the easiest thing to imagine, is imaginable for me because if Autumn and I get paid at about the same time, that's what we have before bills. I can imagine that number. 15,000 is a lot.
It's a lot.
A lot. Like, that's a very hard number to imagine. A little easier for me because I own about 15 to 16,000 Magic cards, but that's beside the point. But if you say you have 15,000 of something, that's a lot. And it's scary for for these people who are closed-minded.
And they're using marketing. So again, they're using a marketing tactic. So for instance, if you go to like a rally and only a few people show up, the influence of that rally probably won't be very much at all. It'll be very tiny and it won't really make any waves in the community. But if the community comes to a rally and there are thousands upon thousands there, then there's going to be a greater influence on the community and then going elsewhere outside of it too. And that's what they're doing here is they're using a grouping type marketing tactic that makes it seem worse than it really is. And we see this every day, like in everyday things, but it's frustrating when it's used as a government marketing tactic because it's falsified information. Marketing, can't live with it and you can't live without it.
I was just going to say really quick, I happen to remember something that I meant to bring up with the last executive order. Did you know that intersex people have about the same percentage as people born with red hair?
I have red hair.
Holy
That's
shit.
interesting, actually. And you are literally like you're literally a diamond space.
So my brother Todd is the only one in the family that has pure red hair. But me, I have dark brown hair, but my beard is red.
Interesting.
The rest of my hair everywhere else is just black. So it's just, it's odd. But that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It says like intersex people make up about like 1.7%. So about 1 in 60 people. It's actually way more common than you think, where redheads are about 1 to 2%, and it does vary by region. But it's also less common globally. Like it's a very close in percentage, like intersex people versus like redheaded people. And I was just like, that's such an interesting,
such a wild concept too, because it's like
it is.
You've got some people do have like both parts or more of one than the other.
Yeah.
But as an identity, it's trippy because you present male, but you don't feel male, but you don't feel female either. You kind of feel like you're a little bit of both. And that's trippy for the mind because in today's society, you have to be either male or female, but what if you're not? Chemically and genetically, I am not. So how does these orders defy science? That's what kills me.
Because it's not science, it's religion that they're
it's totally not science. But I also kind of wanted to make a joke because all of a sudden I thought about it. How are these people so against trans people in military when MASH has been a thing since 1972?
Yes! Oh my God!
How can you think that Corporal Maxwell Q. Klinger does not belong?
Yep.
It's so...
I love that man. I love him.
And you have to think that when that show came out, that idea was so radical during that whole time period. If you were to bring that up now, people would be like, "Oh, well, no, that's nothing compared to what we're doing."
Well, actually, I'm gonna make a point real quick. So films like Mrs. Doubtfire, okay, and obviously, like with TV shows like MASH and other bits and pieces of media where it paints people that are either trans cross-dressing or even the black
Hairspray.
Hairspray is a big one. So anything like that, okay, as long as it has a comedic light to it, it's okay. As long as it's fucking funny and you're making fun of it, or people can laugh at it, they dictate that is okay. And they do it all the time with the black community as well. If it's funny, they'll accept it. But if it's anything
like
that's
Medea.
real, yes, like Medea. Like Medea's a great example. And actually Medea's a great example.
White chicks, that's a great one too.
White chicks too, yeah.
But then I have to bring up that it's okay only if it's funny. Why do we have such a problem with fucking drag queens then? They're the funniest bitches I've ever met.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Queens are gods. Yes. I love them.
I love drag queens. I'm a huge supporter of drag queens. I love drag queens. They're amazing. And they're so talented. They're so creative. And honestly, they're probably some of the coolest and probably some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. They're so great. But anyway,
Granted,
Like,
they're
thank
pitchy,
you.
but they're allowed to be.
Hey, you're both right,
they are
because I am a
sassy.
former
It's
drag queen.
okay. Yes.
I
But
feel like
anyway,
I get a
so
lot of my
to
sass from drag queens.
that's
Mm-hmm.
fair. That's fair.
I
Well,
feel my
actually,
energy from them.
a lot of like gay men and especially like drag queens, they get like their sass that comes from the Black community.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
is true.
so when I call people like girl, but I'm not saying girl as in GIRL, I'm saying girl as in GURL, which
Me too.
girl,
Girl, I gotta tell
Girl.
you right now.
girl.
Uh-huh.
Girl. I have a manager. I'm somewhat off topic, but like it just happens to be with girl. But anyway, I have this manager that I am slowly warming up to, and she's warming up to me. And well, the other day I saw her walking towards like just my general vicinity, and I looked at her and I go, "Hey, girl, hey!" Like right in front of this like very obvious like white conservative man, and this man was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
she was just like, "Hey," I don't know, it just was funny. It reminded
Yeah.
me of
It's
that.
so interesting that like in the queer community, I'm just going to call it the queer community, LGBTQ plus community, we
It's
adopt
an
a
umbrella
lot of
term.
body language and a lot of mannerisms and slang from the African American community as
Yes,
almost like it's our own kind of a thing. So, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. A little, like, not funny, haha, and I'd say that a lot, but not funny, haha, but like a little ironic that. So, because we have adopted a lot of things from the Black community, a lot of times Black community is just like, yeah, okay, like whatever. But in reality, we've taken so much from the Black community. Like we've taken stuff like jazz and blues and everything else. And we're like, yeah, that's our shit. Like, no, it's actually their shit. We just kind of took it. Like, which is
Mm-hmm.
why a lot of people, not like a lot of people, but like a lot of people, especially in the Black community, they cannot stand Elvis Presley because he stole a lot of shit from the Black community. Got a lot of
Yeah.
his stuff from the Black community. But anyway, I digress. This is not executive order.
Yeah.
No.
It's okay. I brought it up. My bad. So
Mhm.
All in all, Executive Order 14183 is bullshit because why would you want to take out able-bodied people who want to serve their country? It makes absolutely no sense. It's the
yeah,
opposite of patriotism.
exactly.
So,
Let's all hope that they remember their oath and do something. So
Most of these people can't fucking read. So what are you talking about?
it's
that's
true.
true.
I mean, you were saying, Paradox, that, fucking Crump has to use crayons to write with, so.
Oh, that was Ruby. Don't.
That was me doing a whole
that was
bit.
you? That's right.
Yeah, that was me doing a whole bit about writing with crayons and eating them, then getting pissed off that the blueberry crayon doesn't taste like blueberry.
Yes. That was my girl Ruby. That was not me. I am not that cool.
I stand corrected. Our next order is Order 14187. This was issued on January 28th of 2025. I don't know where it stands right now, so I don't know if it's pending or if it has been passed. That is something I would have to look up further. But this directs federal agencies to work towards eliminating gender-affirming care for youth by prohibiting agencies from funding, sponsoring, promoting, assisting, or supporting gender-affirming care. It also prohibits the Department of Veterans Affairs from providing gender-affirming care. It also prohibits health insurance for federal employees from covering gender-affirming care, and it seeks to prohibit recipients of federal funding, such as research grants or organizations participating in federal-supported programs like Medicare and Medicaid from providing gender-affirming care. Essentially, anything that is on a federal grade is now being prohibited towards gender-affirming care. So if you want to get gender-affirming care, you now have to go through private insurance on top of what you already pay for your federal insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why when I got my top surgery, my surgeon and his secretary had called me and was like, "Hey, if you have the fundage, like the extra funds to get your top surgery, you might want to do it like now." And I'm like, "Cool. I do have the funds. Yeah, I was actually about to call you, and yes, let's schedule me literally as soon as possible." And they're like, "Okay, cool. 2 weeks from now." And I said, "Sweet, sounds good to me." And because even the secretary was like, "I'm so glad you did it early because I go through like Medicare and Medicaid."
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that was like, putting over half of the bill for my top surgery was my insurance. So I'm really glad that I was able to do that and get that done before all this bullshit.
I don't know if it's changed, but I know Illinois, specifically Chicago, because I know a transgender woman that lived there and has since moved, and I'm not naming who it is because they are in the community. Their disability covered their vaginoplasty. The only thing they had to pay for was, I think, specific things with the dilators.
Oh.
I'm thinking that this particular order is going to take a lot longer to pass if they try to pass it, because there's so many hoops they have to jump through and hurdles that they have to get over in order for this to pass. Because as anything in the medical industry, it takes a long time for things to change.
Mhm.
So I don't foresee this happening anytime soon, but it's good to know what's going on. Again, this only covers at a federal grade. So I don't know what individual states have done. That's something you're going to want to research, because there are definitely states that are passing healthcare directive type orders like this. And so you may want to be looking into that as well. And then also just double check with your insurance to make sure it is something that they covered. It doesn't hurt to do your research. It's something that I kind of wish people would do more often. Coming from a medical records background, I really wish people would actually do their research and go out of their way to find out what it is that is covered and isn't covered. So that way you're not surprised with a bill at the end of the day and you're like, well, why didn't my insurance cover this?
Mhm.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what is truly sad about all this? Because I just reread it like 4 times while you were talking. It doesn't say transgender affirming care.
No, it says gender affirming care.
Okay, so does that, the exceptions alone are going to take them forever to come through? Because does that include breast augmentation for cancer mastectomies? Does that include orchiectomies for testicular cancer? Does that include Viagra, birth control, hormone replacement therapy for early menopause? Does that include hormone blockers for children, for youths that hit puberty too early? All of those are gender affirming care.
This is one of the debates that has come up multiple times on public radio, and they've had experts that are saying, well, this is probably why it won't pass, because it doesn't go over these specific things that you just listed. It doesn't specify anything. It's a lot of these orders are just super vague as to what it is, but they don't go over the details of everything, which is what you need in order to pass an order like this. It leaves healthcare providers in limbo because they don't know what they can actually do and what they can't do, because there's nothing listed in these orders or like little bullet points to say, yes, this, no, this.
But then if you make those exceptions, it then becomes blatantly discriminatory.
It does.
That's the trick. You say that a person needs to get prescribed Viagra so they can get an erection, but you can't give a trans man their testosterone because why? And I'm picking trans men just because Viagra.
Now, this kind of has a double-edged sword effect. I don't like either side of the sword on this one, but I can see a reason and a gain, which, again, I don't agree with the gain. It sucks that one edge of the sword wants to do this, but on the other edge of the sword, it's profitable for hospital systems, because that means if a patient can't use insurance, they have to pay the full amount. That makes profit for the hospital, then they become more rich. Unfortunately, with most double-edged sword concepts, that's kind of usually how it goes, but this one's kind of just dark. So that one's 14187. If you want to look that up, you're more than welcome to. Ruby, do you want to take on the next one? Because this one kind of ties into the first one.
Okay, Executive Order 14190. I kind of wanted to make the joke of just all of a sudden, with keeping a straight face, go Executive Order 8675309 and just not comment on it.
Is that from IT Crowd?
No,
that's from something else.
It's from a song.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
But
I got so offended.
Probably going to offend a lot of people too.
Executive Order 14190, and this builds off of 14168. This order directs the Secretaries of Education, Defense, Health, and Human Services to provide recommendations for eliminating federal funding or support for gender ideology and discriminatory equality ideology. Wow, that combination of words just shorted my brain out a little bit.
It's a lot of Big words.
The order seeks to prohibit schools that receive federal funding from providing educational concepts like critical race theory, gender equality, LGBTQ plus identities, and prohibit schools from affirming the identities of transgender or gender expansive students and the required disclosure of these students' identities to their parents without the student's consent. So they just want to wipe out a lot of fucking knowledge.
This is a lot of fucks.
These are the people that tried to make sure that certain people couldn't go to certain schools when they were in school, and they don't want their kids to find out they supported that.
To kind of go over real quick, just the word ideology, if you don't know what that means, because, there's people out there that don't. Ideology is the science and study of the origin and nature of the idea itself. So gender ideology and discriminatory equity ideology, going over the origins of that. So that's kind of fucked up.
Hooray, Handmaid's Tale.
we were talking about Handmaid's Tale a lot on Mother's Day of all places.
Oh my god!
No, we went to watch my father perform because my father's a musician. He's a drummer. We would watch him perform at a bar, and while we're sitting there waiting for everybody to start, a preview for Handmaid's Tale came on the TV.
Oh my god!
And I looked
God.
No. I looked at my wife and I went, I'd love to watch it, but that's not the kind of documentary I like watching.
Oh my god. I purchased The Handmaid's Tale a few months ago, like the book.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't touched it yet because here's the thing. I know that it is a great work of literature, but that's the thing. It should just be a great work of literature. And even the author, Margaret Atwood, said it should not have been a manual. It was not meant to be a fucking guidebook. It was meant to be a work of fiction.
Yeah.
She's like, what the fuck? So
yeah. But to say that we're not going to talk about this is essentially the do not say gay bill from Florida.
Yeah.
It's a form of conversion therapy where we're just not going to talk about it. And we're going to punish those for talking about it.
Does this also kind of tie into what you were talking about before we recorded about Texas?
I think it was Texas. I could be wrong. I was trying to find the bill, but it's similar to it. This falls under the category of the parental. What is it? Parental. The parental rights.
Yes.
Parental Bill of Rights. That was the word I was looking for. Where parents believe that they have a right to know every little thing if their kids say something at school. So if we have a kid that is transgender, or just my wife works at an art school currently, and literally there are kids that are completely cis male that will walk in wearing a skirt. Why? Because they fucking want to.
Why not?
Yeah. Our heels are, I swear, kinky boots is a thing, and we're theater nerds. I love kinky boots.
Who doesn't?
But it's saying that you cannot talk about it, erases it. It takes away any support that the kids can have outside of the family, because we got to protect the family unit. Think of the children. I hate using my Karen voice. I can do a successful Karen, and I hate using it. But and also it makes the kids scared of coming out, because if I tell Miss Ruby that I'm actually transgender, Miss Ruby now has to go tell my parents. Yes, this has come up because yes, I've had children come out to me while I was a substitute. And I don't give a shit. I'm not telling the parents, because that could put the children at immediate risk.
Yeah.
Because they could be beaten, disowned,
they could commit suicide,
neglected, they could unalive themselves, they can be unalived.
There's just a whole can of worms. And to think about this, like, if kids don't feel safe at home and they feel more at themselves at school, and they can't do that now, where else are they supposed to go? Because if they go and they tell their friends, and their friends are also conservative households, they're screwed. If they go to, somewhere else, like an adult or like a counselor, maybe, and they have to then tell the parents, then they're screwed. There's so many options for them to be screwed. And then on top of that, they have to wait until the age of their 18th birthday before they can be like considered a legal adult to do anything. So they have to hold that guilt, or they have to hold that fear all that time. Can you imagine the messed up mental stability of that brain by the time they hit 18? If they make it to 18, assuming none of the other bad things happen.
All right, little brother, I don't know what your answer is, but I could tell you holding on to it as long as you can, because you're afraid of parental unit finding out. It fucking sucks, and it warps you.
Oh, 100%.
It warps you hard.
Oh yes, I'll probably mention this again whenever we do the female to male transgender thing, because a couple years ago, before I even met my wife and whatnot, I was dating a man. Okay, And he and I had been friends in high school. We started dating. And in the middle of my relationship there, I had started really questioning and really researching like just trans and like trans men and trans
I think
women.
I
And I'm
remember
like,
this.
yes, oh my God. And I was like, I don't know. Like, and I started to relate and I started to reflect on like everything that I was and that I am. And I'm like, I got a little scared because I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I really do truly feel like I've known since I was like a tiny child because I'm like, shit didn't make sense. And then shit made sense all at once. And I was like, oh no. And then like, I kind of sat with it for like months and I continued like quietly studying like off and on. And I'm like, man, I don't know. And I went up to my boyfriend at the time and we were just chilling and I tried to say it as nonchalantly as possible. And I was just like, oh, I'm like, hey, hypothetically, I'm like, and just out of pure curiosity, I'm like, not serious, like whatever. I'm like, if I were trans, I'm like, what would you do? What would your reaction be? How would you feel? And he goes, yeah, I don't think that we could ever be together if you were trans because we would just have to be friends or something because I can't do that. That's kind of gross. And I'm like, and I'll never talk about it ever again. And I didn't for years. I just like,
Yeah.
ooh, because I was like, oh my God, if my person that like I at that point I thought was, like my forever
The
person.
one.
Yeah, I thought that was my like the one, like whatever. I was like, oh my God, if this is how he thinks, I'm like, nope. And I buried that shit. I did not investigate it for a while. And like, and I will say when I did, obviously, eventually I don't talk to this person very much anymore. We broke up, whatever, several years ago, like 6 years ago. Then I met my wife and we became friends. And then she actually was like such a gateway into like who I am as a person. And I'm like, oh, you have friends that are trans. You have friends that are non-binary. You have friends that like, are heavily within the LGBT community. I'm like, you yourself identify, as a she, they, non-binary. I'm like, okay. So then I started to kind of lean more into it and like test the waters. And obviously here I am today. And I'm going to tell you what, if I would have let myself just be myself back then, I honestly don't, first and foremost, I don't think I could have because it was not safe. And that's what really sucks because not only was my situation with my, current like significant other at that point in time not safe, but also my home life at that point in time was really not safe to do that.
Yeah.
Do both of my parents know that I am transgender now? Yes. Do they both support it? That's very, very questionable. My
I don't
dad,
know if your. I
no.
don't think. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think your dad does because based
No.
off all the stuff that you've told me about your dad, there's just no way your dad could ever come full
No.
circle on this.
Unfortunately, no. I do not think he's ever going to come full circle, which really sucks. But
With your mom,
my
maybe like a slight chance.
maybe
It's literally the exact opposite for me.
Oh yeah.
But also, I want to cover before we move on. It's also not being able to mention it eliminates that knowledge. If you're trying to figure yourself out, I didn't know back in high school, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, that transgender was even a fucking option.
Yeah, exactly.
You were either normal or you were a faggot. Those were your options.
Yes.
Oh, I hate that word. Oh, that word is like nails on a
not the harsh
chalkboard.
F.
It's okay. Of all the F words, I absolutely hate I can't even say it. I've had friends say it as a joke, and I'm just like, I can't be in the same room with you. And I've actually gotten up and left the room.
Yeah, I know. I'm only using it as the example if that's what my bullies use against me.
Yeah.
There was no trans, queer, pan, demi, ace. None of those existed. This was back in 2001.
Yeah.
As I said, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. And not being able to discuss that eliminates a starting point. Like, I was just the weird kid. I was the effeminate acting kid, which then I think metrosexual came out as a descriptor, which I related to.
As metrosexual from like 2005 to like 2000.
The hell is metrosexual?
Yeah.
It's
a very effeminate man.
Yeah, you're just gay, essentially, but you're just kind of like smoke screening it.
Yeah.
Got you.
But the more knowledge I got, the more resources came available. So if you all of a sudden wipe out that there's any option other than A or B, and in this case, they're wiping everything except for A, which is straight. When you don't feel normal, you're going to become, self-esteem takes a hit. You're going to end up being bullied because you act weird. It's taking us all the way back to like the 60s and 70s where not everybody knew what the fucking words were. The more words we have, the better description we have to describe what we're going through.
I don't even think in 2000, like in the 2000s, there wasn't, when I grew up, transgender was not a word. And if it wasn't common.
It wasn't common. It's been a word since forever. And like, we're talking like the 20s.
Gay and lesbian were the ones, or transvestite was another one.
Yeah.
We're talking, because we did the transgender history episode together, Space. The timeline goes all the way back to freaking ancient Greece.
Yeah,
and
it
the
does.
Egyptians.
It goes way back.
But it wasn't accepted because, I mean, you're from Utah. I'm from the southern United States. We're essentially from the same area.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm from the Bible Belt. You're from Utah. It's the same damn thing.
Which is also like the Bible Belt. Of like Mormonism is just a whole
what it is,
fucking story.
I'm from the Bible Belt. Utah is the truck nuts. It's the same goddamn thing. It just doesn't connect to each other.
True.
And I'm from the land of corn.
So cornhole. Got it.
Ohio or Iowa? Ohio?
No, Ohio.
Ohio. Okay, I have that right. For some reason, I keep thinking that you're like down in Georgia with Ruby.
No,
I'm in North Carolina.
I am not. I'm not.
You're in North Carolina. Fuck. Who's in Georgia? Oh, that's right. It's Sparrow. Sparrow's in Georgia.
in Georgia.
Damn it. That's okay.
Okay. But no, it's eliminating knowledge, where knowledge is power. If you can eliminate the knowledge that your adversaries have, you get a leg up. So even someone as crayon and glue eating dumbass as our current president is, if you can eliminate the knowledge that everybody else is getting, you eventually level the playing field. So instead of us playing chess and the government playing checkers and he's playing Candyland, but the rules are modified, he's working us down to Candyland.
Off topic, completely random. Side tangent, off topic. I am looking at my wife currently, and she is standing, no pants, in her undies, wearing a t-shirt, her bonnet, and just eating a fucking drumstick. This is the most black she's been.
I can tell you, if my wife were to walk by the door in that exact setup, that would be the hottest thing I've ever seen.
I'm sorry.
I know, it's pretty damn sexy.
You said a bonnet? Like a baby bonnet?
No, space. No, a bonnet. It's a bonnet. It is it's a bonnet. It's what it's called. It's like the satin or cloth.
To protect the hair because African American hair is naturally dry, and so like do-rags and stuff. Okay, yeah, I get that. I know hair care products, bro. Hello.
But no, I will. I you and I are very similar, Paradox, and I can just from that's hot.
It is. I know. I looked and it had me cracking up because I was like, you can't do this to me. I'm recording.
Like, has she done like the head tilt with like the smirk look? Because that would be hot as well. I'll be like,
listen.
Damn.
I'm sweating now. God damn it.
You got the chicken sweats.
Got the meat sweats.
Oh man.
Okay. But yeah, as I was saying, it's just the taking away knowledge, and that's what they're fucking doing. It's, again, the playbook. It's the fascist playbook that these idiots are trying to replicate.
So, which sucks. I don't know if this will actually go through as well, but I can really see individual states adopting this ideology and going with it.
A lot have.
Which is really scary.
To the extent, I don't remember if it was Alabama, Florida, Missouri, Texas, or one of the other dumbass states in the United States, but this blocking of information has gone to the point that, if I remember the wording, if a teacher calls a student their preferred gender, if it is not related to the one on their birth certificate, the teacher can be arrested and they will be put as a class 1 sex offender, which is the highest level, and you never come off of it. Which means you can't work with children anymore.
Isn't it the same level as pedophiles?
Yes.
That's insane. That's insanity.
So they're not taking away your license, but you're no longer allowed within 500 feet of a school, which is essentially the same fucking thing.
That's
just fucked up.
Yeah.
If you guys are ever interested in knowing like what's going on in your state, the ACLU on their website has tracking like anti-LGBTQ bills amongst the U.S. Again, this episode's more geared towards the U.S. So if you're outside of the U.S. but you're still interested, we'll have all of these links available for you guys to look at. But it's really interesting because you can click on your state and you can actually see what bills are active, what have passed, failed, why they failed, all that jazz, which is really interesting. As of right now, currently there are 575 anti-LGBTQ bills trending in the US. That is today being May 16, 2025. There is also another tracking website called, and I love the name, it's translegislation.com, and they're currently tracking 895 bills among 49 states.
Holy shit.
As Ruby pointed out, there's only been about 100 that have passed, 733 are active, and 62 have failed. But again, you can also click on the individual states and see more about the information there. So this is just kind of good things to have to kind of look at if you ever want to just know what's going on in your own state or what's going on in your world, kind of a thing. This is a great tool to have. The last executive order, before we talk about some of the more minute things, where they're not really minute, but they're kind of just like, there's some bullet points that we have that kind of fit into some of the orders we've talked about, but they're important to talk about. But first, let's end with Executive Order 14201, which was issued February 5th, 2025. Again, don't know where this actually is yet. Could still be pending. It seeks to prohibit schools that receive federal funding from allowing trans women and trans feminine and intersex people to compete in sports in public schools and public universities. The order also directs the United States to advocate that international bodies such as the United Nations and the International Olympic Committee, also known as the IOC, prohibit inclusion of trans women, trans feminine, and intersex people in sports. Okay, like, why?
Well, this goes even further than when I said about military, where this affects only like less than 5,000 people. And we're wasting time dealing with something that only affects 5,000 people. This one is even worse. We have an entire executive order. We have all the people involved with everything with it for a total of 10 students across this entire nation in the NCAA, across all sports.
Only 10. Put 10
Only
people
10.
in a room.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of people.
It's not even enough to do their own league.
Does it include gender?
No, this is NCAA. This is school athletes.
Oh, okay.
This is legitimate, like, competent student athletes.
Well, I bring it up because I brought it up because of the International Olympic Community.
I'm trying to find a way to insult that bitch because I can't stand her.
She drives me nuts. How can you transition and then go back against the community that supported you in your transition? It's like going to God and then telling God you don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how? How? I'm only going to call them by their last name, Jenner. That should be enough for you. Their first original name rhymed with Cruz.
It's the same reason why J.K. Rowling built her entire fortune on LGBTQ people and she's turned her back on us.
That, and also, doesn't she have like another like pen name that's under Robert? And she's like against like trans men and like trans women and like in specific just trans people. She's like, no. I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
No, and I think it was you that I was talking to that said that she, like, in her early days, she was like, yeah, I thought about like transitioning, but like it just during that time it wasn't really possible, whatever. I'm like, so you're actually trans and you're so transphobic and afraid that you can't go back now. You just have to continue suffering.
There's a reason for that, though.
She has done borderline irreparable damage. Like, it's
absolutely.
going to take us so long to reverse what she's fucking done.
So the reason why she does that is because if she were to come out and say something, it would be against everything that her followers kind of love her for, and she'll lose money. And what drives people in this world? Money. So
unfortunately,
the money go bye-bye.
She's lost just as much money for all the people and supporters that walked away from her.
Yeah.
Well, then she's breaking even.
She pissed off David Tennant. Do you know how hard it is to piss that man off? He is an angel, even though he plays a demon.
I do love David Tennant. He's very nice.
I tried to watch that show where he plays a demon. I just wasn't a big fan of that one.
Oh, I love Good Omens. That's like one of my favorite shows.
I was kind of bored by it. But he's good in all of his other roles.
Oh, yeah. Especially when he plays, like, not even the Doctor, but when he plays Hamlet, or Macbeth, it's amazing.
I haven't seen Macbeth.
He taps into that insanity so well. But, or maybe it was Hamlet. I forgot my fucking Shakespearean plays. I'm a musical girl. I'm not a Shakespearean fan. But no, they're writing all these laws to affect 10 children. These are students These are 23 years old and under. These people shouldn't have to suffer this. And also they're saying, and you notice that they also track trans women, trans feminine people, and intersex.
Do you want to explain what trans feminine is so people don't get it like confused?
Let me look that up, but they're not mentioning your trans men because it doesn't fit their narrative, even though trans men are just as capable.
It's like, okay, it's the wording is just like how the reaction of two gays kissing versus two lesbians kissing. Lesbians kissing, not a big deal. Two guys kissing, whoa, let's stop traffic here. Hold the presses.
It's because it hurts like the fragile masculinity of the gendered men. They're like, oh no, like I can't be kissing another guy. Like that's disgusting. Like no, like.
But two women kissing each other. Oh, that's a fantasy for a lot of people.
It's because women unfortunately are just objects to most men, and it's sick. Like they are viewed as nothing but an object or a toy to be played with, and it's like no, they're actual real people.
If only men realize women are the only reason men exist.
I mean, exactly.
Yeah, but. Right now, I mean, here's the thing: is also I don't know and also trans femme is basically is feminine, but I don't think identify as a woman.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. It's hard. Like finding that definition was a bitch, but
kind of like an umbrella term almost in a way. But go ahead.
But Paradox, I don't know your athletic background.
Unfortunately, not very athletic. But go ahead.
I'm a former track runner.
I can do one sit-up if that helps.
I'm a former track runner, high jumper. I'm built like a brick house when I want to be. Now, I'm a lot fluffier now than I used to be, but
she's a brick house.
Basically, if I don't want to move, you ain't moving me. If you and I were to wrestle right now, or let's just go with even if you want to do full contact football, you would obliterate my ass because your muscle density is far beyond mine.
That's true. That was a point that I was going to make, but we're actually in the middle of it. So
yeah, I've lost so much of my muscle density and strength and endurance. I'm essentially at this point in time have the same physical makeup as a woman assigned female at birth of my age.
Yeah.
Like there's no advantage. And even when you get into athletics, a trans woman, let's say I'm going to go a 16-year-old trans woman who's been transitioning since puberty, goes up against an untrained assigned female at birth, the trans woman will have the advantage because the density is still there. There's still some advantage. But when you get up into the competitive sports and you've been training, the gap is non-existent. Most of the trans women that have been getting awards are getting like 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th place.
Oh, damn.
Because God forbid, because if they were getting first place like nonstop, then they might have an argument. But you don't hear that. You don't hear trans woman gets gold medal and knocks a cis female off the podium. It's literally 3rd or 4th place.
Yeah, it's just not happening. Like you were saying, so like if we were to go against each other right now, I'll be honest, you would like realistically you might still win, mostly because I haven't really done much of anything. But if I were to seriously like work out, I'll be honest, I would be a tank because every week I am constantly pumping myself up with testosterone. And that
you're here.
Like yeah. Every week I inject myself with testosterone. And if I were to actually get serious and to really start working out, I would have, like you said, a very, very similar physique as to a cisgendered man of my age and does work out. It would be very similar, and almost equal to, if not exactly the same. The same goes for trans women. Like you were saying, it's the same thing. After a while, it becomes almost identical, in physique and strength and stuff. Like it's almost identical.
Yeah. The only reason I probably would have an advantage of winning is training because I am trained.
Yes.
And muscle memory is a thing.
Yeah.
But no, when it comes to raw strength, I wouldn't be able to hold against you because I don't have that anymore. Used to be a workhorse. I used to be able to go nonstop if I wanted to. And now it's like, okay, I'm done, y'all. I'm going to go sit down. I need a nap and some ice cream.
Now, actually, I do have a question. Now, you said you did track, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Did you do a sport or whatever? So I'll explain why I didn't do sports. Mine was medical, unfortunately, and also money situated. But anyway, I digress. So was your reasoning for doing like track and or sports or whatever, was that to over masculinize yourself to try and improve yourself that you were like more masculine? Because I did something similar because everybody was like, well, no, you're a girl, you should act more like a girl, you should wear things that that are feminine, you should do things that are feminine, you're a girl, you don't do things like this. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should try. And at one point I really tried to over feminize myself to like prove to myself that I was a girl. And then at some point I'm like, I can't do this because I want to throw up. So I'm wondering if that's like inner psychological.
No, mine was academic reasons. I needed scholarships to get into school because I don't come from a very wealthy family.
Nope,
so my mom encouraged me to do something outside of school, but you have to realize that art, theater, and shit like that weren't on the table because they weren't marketable.
Yeah.
That is my family's point of view. And I'm not very tall, so basketball's out. I don't really feel like getting collided by big sweaty men. I am a lesbian, so I'm not dealing with football, so I went with track. I enjoy running. I literally could jump over myself. I was a high jumper and I could jump 5'8". I'm 5'7".
Damn.
I was also a hurdle jumper, and I could do the high hurdles as if they were nothing. I loved it. Preview for a later episode, it fed into that wolf side of me that needed to feel like I was flying, to feel like I was running, and I loved it. It upped my agility, all of it. Like, my balance is near about perfect where I don't fall. But
that's awesome.
That's tangenting. Sorry.
Fine.
We'll get into that when we do Therians.
Therians are so fucking interesting to me.
Yeah. There's even in athletics where they're talking about trans women having advantages in chess against assigned female at birth.
Which is absolutely ridiculous because chess requires no physical strain. It's all in your brain. Which I understand brain is a muscle, but like that's not the same.
Oh, they've tried to do it in Magic the Gathering and all them.
That's insane.
Women and trans women are looked down on because we're not as skilled at playing, even though I'm one of the best players you're going to meet.
I think women in general, unfortunately, are just consistently looked down upon in anything. It's like you can't do anything correctly or as good as any man, which was really difficult for me when I obviously before transitioning would try to go to Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments and stuff, and everybody would be like, "You're a girl. Why are you here?" And I'm like, well, I just want to play a game. Actually,
I'm here to curb stomp all of you bitches.
Yeah, for real.
Which, by the way, really quick side tangent because we don't really talk about it. It is now against tournament rules to misgender your opponent in Yu-Gi-Oh. You will be disqualified and kicked out of the tournament
if you misgender your opponent.
Yes.
What if
purposefully misgender?
Oh, purposely. Okay. So if they don't have their pronoun or, something visible and you didn't know, it's a different story.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a person I used to play against would call me Ruby, but then also say he, sir, and Mr. when they were talking to me. If I was playing in a tournament against them, I could have had them disqualified. So I love that rule. That is an amazing rule. Okay, so next.
All right. So the next ones are kind of more like bullet points. They do tie into some of the executive orders that we've talked about. And again, to kind of explain, these are not all of the executive orders. I believe there are more out there. I just have had a hard time finding them. And a lot of the orders themselves have lots of bullet points and stipulations to them, which make it seem like, for instance, the first one that we talked about, which defines sex strictly as male or female, that one has a ton of little bullet points on it. And it makes it seem like there's more orders in addition to that when it really just ties into one thing. So the first one is healthcare restrictions. There are orders to withhold federal funds from providers offering gender-affirming care to individuals under the age of 19. We talked about that in some of the orders before. So it's kind of weird that they're doing it as an age of under 19. Why 19? 18 is the legal age, not 19. And
changing the narrative.
Insurance officially knocks you off of your family's insurance at 26. So 19 doesn't make any sense. That's such a random number.
They're trying to push the age up slowly. I guarantee you give it into his third year, it'll switch to 20 years old.
That's ridiculous.
And then they're going to go, well, your brain's not fully developed until 25, so we're going to push it to then.
Which is probably why they don't let you rent cars until your age of 25, which is that's a whole different thing. The whole rules of what makes you a fully fledged adult is when you can actually rent a car at age 25. That's what I
Yeah.
see.
I'm going to go with you're adult the minute, the what is it, from The Crow? You're an adult the day you find out you're going to die.
Oh, damn.
That's really
It's from
young.
the very first Crow, one of my favorite movies. But yeah, going into the healthcare restrictions, gender affirming care to individuals under 19. That once again probably won't completely pass because where are the exceptions that don't sound like you're targeting just the 0.01% of trans kids? Because hormone blockers isn't just for trans. Hormones are not just for trans. Birth control is technically gender affirming care. When do you work those in there? Their story falls apart the more you poke at it.
And that's why most of his followers never graduated high school.
Yeah, and that's why I'm sitting there with
My dad.
and that's why I'm sitting there with a demon-like pitchfork, just going poke, poke, poke. Hey, bitch, poke. Fuck you, poke.
Do something.
The next one is passport policy changes. This one, I'm not really sure which one this actually goes with. This might be its own order, or it might just be like an idea, but it's the suspension of policies allowing transgender, intersex, and non-binary individuals to update their sex designations on passports. I think I did read something about how right now, if you've already like updated your passport, that's valid. But I think after a certain time period, you can't update it again. But again, I don't really know much about this one. This one's kind of a gray area for me.
This falls into that playbook where you don't want those people that you're targeting to leave.
Oh,
you want to keep them trapped because if they leave, you lose your targets.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I promise you, if I could, I would leave for like Ireland or something immediately because I don't want to be here no more.
Oh, my ass would be in so many other places.
Oh, yeah. At least for Ireland, they're not.
My ass has been on the toilet. It's been in bed. It's been in my underwear.
Wow.
Massachusetts is one of the sanctuary states. I would probably right now, if I could afford it, would be in Salem, like right now. But I have a good job here, and my wife is applying for the local LGBTQ center as a casework advocate. So we're not going anywhere for a while.
Yeah.
The last one is education directives. So this mandates to eliminate indoctrination in schools, targeting discussions on gender identity and sexual orientation. So this kind of ties in with executive like 14190 and 141.
You want to know what is indoctrination? That's always bothered me since like the beginning of school. Well, yes, but no. To me, saying the Pledge of Allegiance every single morning, that felt like what is that? Like, why?
Absolutely is. It's propaganda and indoctrination.
Yes, because why in the world was I taught to love like my country and its like diversity and be so fucking dick hard for liberty and justice for all and like, oh god, 4th of July fireworks, like what, like like why was I taught that?
I like 4th of July for the hot dogs and the fireworks. That's about it.
And honestly, like most holidays anymore, I kind of find myself not really celebrating.
And fireworks aren't even American; they're freaking Chinese.
Yes, thank you. Like, yes.
I will tell you right now, my filter went up just in time.
Oh, good. Hold your thought. Hold your tongue, young man.
It involves what you said you loved about 4th of July, and my filter shot up just in time.
Oh, God.
I like a big bratwurst in my mouth.
So what you're telling me is you like wieners and things shooting off.
Yeah, I do. Oh, and I absolutely love the end when they explode.
boom goes the dynamite.
Wow. Boom goes the boomstick. Oh my gosh. But anyway, I always felt
I like being American, but I don't like, okay, this is going to sound really weird. So every time I see the American flag, I now identify the American flag as someone who's Republican, who is in support of Trump. It's not, I see that as my country, as something that I, love. When I see the American flag, I feel ashamed.
100%.
I shouldn't, because it's my country, but it is what it is. That's the kind of like feel that I have. I have more, in fact, I don't really like flags in general. I think I like the Pride one probably the most, even the more updated one. But that's about it.
I have 6 flags hanging outside my house right now. Not one of them is the American flag.
Speaking of flags,
I'm kidding.
So in Utah, they passed a bill where government property cannot fly the pride flag. So in response to that, Salt Lake City specifically redesigned 3 flags that include like the state like emblem, but also pride stuff as well. And they were passed. So now those can be flown on government property. So fuck you, Republicans. There you fuck you.
But yeah, indoctrination. I saw this on Instagram like today, I think. You know, never once have I had a person come and knock on my door and go, "Hi, have you heard about Pride?" Back before Easter, I got like Jehovah's Witnesses like crazy. There's not a picture book of naked military guys in gas masks sitting in your hotel room. Maybe your space, but not a normal hotel room.
We've had a Jehovah's Witness come up to our door and we told them we were gay and they told us, well, we can save that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Wow.
get out. Like, get out of here before I get a pitchfork and burn your ass.
But there's fucking Bibles in every fucking hotel room.
Except for the Hiltons. The Hiltons have the Book of Mormon
Yeah.
because they're Mormons.
Yeah. No, it's like if you want to come to my house and tell me about Jesus, I will tell you more. I will tell you the shit you don't know, and then I'll let you know that I'm also a witch.
You know what's ironic about the Bible? I'm just going to side tangent here. The Bible, most people use is the King James Version. If you look up King James and his version, what he did was entirely fucked up. The original Bible was way better than what he did.
Yeah.
So
I have
just-
tried to find a version that's before King James for so fucking long. I can't find one.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
just because I want to do a compare and contrast between
Yeah.
the two and like really be like, yeah, no.
The Bible has so many fucking plot holes, it's not even funny.
Oh,
But
yes.
it's, to quote Gandhi, it's, I like your Christ. I do not like your Christians. Your Christians are so unlike your Christ.
I prefer.
I love the
energy.
idea of Christ because, you know, my father is a Buddhist. Again, I'm a witch. And, you know, he's a pretty cool fucking hippie guy. He's someone I would like to hang out with. He's probably someone that my father would like to smoke weed with. And he probably did. But the Christians just ignore all of that and still claim that they are holier than thou.
Yeah.
Never made sense. I prefer canon Jesus as opposed to fandom Jesus.
Yeah. At this point in time, fandom Jesus is Donald Trump.
Yeah, you are right. He's definitely
Because my grandfather-in-law had a bookshelf of religious books, his Bibles, and all that, with a picture, a framed picture of Donald Trump saluting the flag.
Oh my god, that's so. How in the world? I don't understand. How in the world they get such how I don't get
I
it.
don't know. I cannot figure it out.
I can't figure it out either. Like,
Yep.
I don't know. It completely boggles my mind as to how in the world we got like this. Seemingly, again, you mentioned, you had studied a lot of, about the Holocaust and like Nazi Germany and stuff like that. And like, holy shit, how the hell did we get here again? Because if there's a God, why the fuck did he let us do this twice? Like, once, maybe. Twice, what are you doing? Either A, God is not all powerful, or God is not all good.
If there is a God, he contains himself in heaven out of fear of what he has created.
Indeed. I can agree.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
I fucked
Segment 2, advocacy.
So
stuff.
I'm gonna breeze over these real quick just for the sake of time. But so in general, there are a lot of great advocacy organizations that you can look to if you need help trying to figure out how to understand an executive order that is about the LGBTQ community or it's against transgender. Am I saying that right, by the way? Should I say trans or transgendered folk?
Either way.
Okay, I just don't want to.
either way is fine.
Okay.
You haven't offended me there yet.
Okay,
No,
good.
you're
That's
fine.
good. The day that I offend Ruby will be a very bad day.
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever offended me either, so I think you're good.
That's good. So there's a multitude of sites out there, but the most iconic classic ones that we would recommend is GLAAD. They're advocates. I don't even remember. I probably should look up what GLAAD actually stands for. The Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation. So they regularly cover news every time an order comes out. They have launched the Trump Accountability Tracker to monitor all anti-LGBTQ plus action. They also issue statements condemning executive orders and their impacts on the community. They also regularly affirm everyone in the community that you're not alone, that, we're in this fight together. And it's really good to have those kinds of newsletters kind of out there, because then you don't feel so alone. I don't feel like I'm fighting this fight by myself, which is great. Mm-hmm. There's another one called the ACLU. ACLU stands for the American Civil Liberties Union. Man, I'm doing terrible. I should know. I know what it is, but I don't know always what they stand for specifically. But what they've done so far is they've filed lawsuits challenging executive orders, including those affecting healthcare and passport policies. They've also provided resources to educate the public on legal rights and avenues for resistance. So the ACL is a really good one if you want to look into more of a legal stamp kind of point. And then my personal favorite is the Trevor Project. Trevor Project is a great resource. They have the 24/7 hotline for troubled youth and just troubled adults in general. What's great about them is they have people who are been in that situation answering the calls of those who are currently in a situation. So they can be able to kind of be on the same level. They're there to listen, to counsel, all of that jazz. But they do a lot of great work in the community. They have reported an increase of crisis calls following the inauguration, highlighting the mental impact of the LGBTQ plus youth. They continue to offer 24/7 support, and they also advocate for the LGBTQ plus youth rights. So they have a lot of good stuff there. They also regularly update and say, we're here for you, that kind of thing. And while it can seem overwhelming, oh, everyone's saying it, I think in our community, we need all of the help that we can get. We need all of the support that we can really surround ourselves with. And it's never really redundant for me. It's never, annoying to see another advocate saying, we love you, we support you, you're here, you're not alone. I think it's just another bullet to the gun that I can take to the war against what we're currently dealing with. So it's not too much for me. It's never enough. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe why don't you go over? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was also going to say you can also look up local LGBTQ centers. I've been researching these a lot because my wife, again, has applied to one of them in our area. So when I look them up, there's ones everywhere. So you can find them.
Yeah. And most cities also have a pride center. Or if it depends on how rural your city is, you might be able to find one within the region. So, but they're there and they can advocate and help you with anything that you need. So as much as you might think that you're alone in this world, you're very much not.
Yeah. And if you're in my area, you might actually end up working with my wife because she's one of the she's applied for support service specialist. So fingers crossed. I'm manifesting this shit.
Now, is this remote? Can you work remotely with this or?
Not this one. This one actually she'll end up having to go to medical appointments with people.
Oh, okay.
To help. Dang. It's kind of fucking awesome.
That is really cool though. I'm just trying to look for a different job. So, and I would love to work with obviously the community more. Anyway,
I don't know if Trevor Project is hiring at the moment.
They're really hard. It's they hire and then they don't hire. So it's hit and miss. It's like trying to get into the con through the lotto. So yeah. I've been on their list for, I don't know, 10 years and I still haven't gotten anything.
That's weird.
Paradox, why don't you go over navigating the political landscape for our listeners?
Ooh,
just kind of breeze over that for a second.
Absolutely. So the most important thing is to stay informed. So follow updates from trusted organizations like we mentioned, GLAAD, ACLU, and the Trevor Project. You can subscribe to newsletters and alerts to keep abreast of policy changes. It says engage in advocacy. So you can contact local and federal representatives to express concerns and support for LGBTQ rights. You can participate in peaceful protests and community events, especially with Pride Month coming up. There are going to be an increase, tons and tons of increases of I'm guessing Pride marches and events as well. So you can definitely reach out to your local branch. I know for me in Ohio, there's lots and lots of places to reach out to help volunteer for Pride events. So you can do that. You can support affected individuals, donate to organizations if you can, providing legal aid and mental health services. Again, I live in Ohio. There's actually Trans Ohio is one that a lot of people do volunteer and they do actively donate to. And Trans Ohio has actually helped quite a few people get their gender markers changed, get their names changed, help raise money for gender affirming care like hormones and surgery. You can offer support to LGBTQ individuals in your community just through active listening and inclusion. So really just reach out to your friends, your family and stuff that are part of this community, you know, check up on them, be that listening ear. If you need somebody to talk to as well, please reach out to anybody, somebody, you know, obviously people that are safe that you know within your circle. If you don't know anybody safe, and this might be a hot take. This may be a hot take, and I'm not huge on AI. This is something that's coming personally from me.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yes. If you, it's, like I said, I'm not huge on AI. I don't necessarily super support it, but in a pinch, if you need some advice, shockingly enough, ChatGPT gives you some solid advice if you give it all the details. It's like, hey, I'm struggling. I don't want to unalive. What do I do? And it'll actually give you some pretty solid recommendations and whatnot. But like I said, if you're using that for art and stuff, maybe don't do that. So
Yeah, please don't.
Please don't do that. Like, don't use it for your next school paper or your next art project or whatever. Don't trace anyway. But if you're using that as like a tool, you know, to find some help, it's actually been a pretty useful tool to find help, at least for me, because I'll be honest, struck a little bit mentally. So, but I'm okay. We're good. But actually, ChatGPT has helped me reach out to, like, you know, a couple different resources and whatnot. So that is a good one as well. Especially if you don't have anybody, friend or family wise, that is safe, like we mentioned earlier. Especially like if you're young and you're in school, that's actually not not a bad idea. And you can delete the history. So if it ever becomes an issue and people want to search, you just delete that or just delete the app. There you go. You know, I download it later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we have for step 3 in navigating the political landscape. But yeah, just remember to stay safe, be aware. Don't drive yourself insane because this political climate is extremely stressful. And if I'm being honest, this episode, even though that we've said, hey, and we have joked a little bit, it is a very heavy episode. So if any time during anything you feel a little overwhelmed, please take a deep breath, center yourself, and remember you're not alone. You're never alone, especially in this world, in this, you know, what's going on. So we're not experts, but we're just trying. Go ahead.
And this kind of goes into our last kind of blip. If Ruby, you want to take it away with that.
Yeah. Well, let me add one more thing with like tips for listeners. If you're using, I know it works with Trans Lifeline and Trevor Project. Both sites have a failsafe. If you hit escape 3 times on the computer, or I think tap on the screen 3 times on mobile, it will send you to Google, close the previous tab, and wipe that tab's history.
Really smart.
Both of those have fail-safes. I've tested them. Please use them. Now, mental health and community support. This is coming from someone who, just as a quick little background, I have depression, I have anxiety, and I have PTSD. So I'm telling this from experience. Hey, mine was a gift from my mother.
Oh.
But
same.
You have to acknowledge the emotional toll that all this is going to take. It's not easy. It's daunting to see bad news after bad news after bad news. And to quickly quote probably the most amazing man that has ever lived on this planet Earth, Mr. Rogers, you're going to want to look for the helpers. You'll always find people who are helping. And in the same way, look for good news. Look for positives. Look for those that are fighting for you. We're there, and we ain't giving up anytime soon. Keep track of mental health resources. If you're in crisis, you have access to, I don't know about the suicide hotline anymore because of some shit that's gone through with the administration defunding some shit. But Trevor Project and Trans Lifeline, always available. Call them. They will help, no judgment. They're amazing. And they're 24/7. And then also build a community of people around you. We're furries. We have a community built in. Find your fandoms and your niche communities. You'll find those people that care about you. Building your chosen family is the best thing you can do for yourself. And then also, if everything in the world becomes overwhelming, learn to disconnect. Put your phone down. Get away from the news. Go for a walk, a hike, go find a puppy to play with or a kitten to play with, or if you have both, just step away until you can get your thoughts and everything back together. It's a nightmare out there, and this is coming from someone who obsesses over making sure they know what's going on. It sucks when it becomes overwhelming. So just remember that you can step away. People will continue to fight. This is going to be a long road, and we're in it together.
Overall, this is a really hefty episode. Like, there's no really good way to sugarcoat it. We understand it's a long one, but it's an important one to our hearts. Ironically, it's something we pride ourselves on, is topics like this. And I know it's also topics that you guys want us to discuss so that you can have a better understanding, but also be more informative so that you can pass the word on to other people who also might be kind of confused of how to navigate something such as this.
Yeah. And we get the giggles and laughs through it. And it's because that's how we do. That's how I at least know I do. I'm pretty sure that's how we deal with trauma. We
pretty
laugh.
Much. Yeah. We have to. What we live in right now, it just sucks. And I honestly, I can't live in a world that just sucks all the time. I got to put some sort of joy into it, whatever it is. Even if it's like a really serious episode, we still have to put some sort of happiness in it, just for the sake of not just ourselves, but for you, the listeners, as well. As usual, we always thank you guys for listening to our episodes. And if you ever have topic suggestions, you can always email them to us, or you can send it to us on Telegram. We're most active on Telegram in general. We do post to Twitter and Blue Sky, but they're more or less just to publish episodes so our listeners know. But as far as being more active, we're more active in the actual Telegram group chat in general. You can always send us an email if you wanted us to read it for our next Fangasms one. Our next one will be for fall. The next one will be summer, I think. But anyways, if you ever want us to read like an email, you can always just send us one at talktothemuzzle@gmail.com. You can tell us about whatever you want to, and we will read it. In fact, one person even emailed us saying, bark, 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 and you'll hear about that before this episode actually comes out. So that's
oh my God.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm disappointed I didn't get to read that one.
Oh, you should. I put it in I'll show it to you after we're done here. But anyways, thanks for listening. Y'all have a fantastic Pride Month. Don't let anything get you down. Have a fabulous day.
Yep.
That's it? Just yep?
Yep.
Yep.
I'm agreeing with what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Is that your little mini mark? Yep.
Yep. Anyways, have a fabulous day, everyone. See ya.
Love you, bye.
Bye.